the Ag Committee
Well,
from
good morning.
Great Lakes, state of Michigan, home of the Detroit Tigers.
That's right. Well, good morning.
And hopefully, let me just
Ranking
say,
member.
hopefully we'll have an announcement before too long that the baseball strike is over and we can say, play ball. I can't wait.
Mr. Chairman is the second greatest champion of the Detroit Tigers. I'm first, he's second. So we look forward to hosting you. And I have to say, actually, welcome to a fellow Michigander. I'm so pleased that you and Chasten and your two beautiful children have set up shop in Michigan permanently. Of course, Chasten was always there with his family, but we're glad you're Michiganders, Mr. Secretary.
Well, I'm happy to have married into Michigan.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm also so pleased you're in the position that you are in. And we've talked a lot about infrastructure for a long time, and we've actually been able to deliver it working together. So this is an important moment. You won't be surprised to learn I'd like to talk about electric vehicles. And I am going to brag for a moment because I think it's important when we look at the incredible investments, the way our American companies are leaning in now and counting on us to be their partner if they're going to be successful. But GM, Ford, Stellantis have laid out aggressive plans to electrify their vehicle fleets. In fact, Stellantis just yesterday announced an electric Jeep they're doing for 2023. I've driven that. It's really something. And electric Ram pickup in 2024 and plans to reduce carbon emissions by 50%. By 2030. GM, of course, is doing 30 new battery electric vehicles worldwide by 2025, plans to only do electric vehicles by 2035. And Ford, of course, the great F-150 truck I've also had the opportunity to drive, and the Mach-E Mustang, and their plans to increase EV production next year to 600,000 units globally. If they're going to succeed with this kind of aggressive electrification plans, the charging stations in the legislation we passed is absolutely critical. So what type of technical expertise is the Department of Transportation, Department of Energy providing to states? Because we do know that states are at various levels of planning at this point.
Well, thank you, and that's right. The technical support is going to be very important because this is not the same thing as gas stations. In some ways, electric vehicle charging is easier than filling up with gas because you can do it at home. In other ways, it's more difficult because of the time involved depending on which type of charger you have. And so we need a paradigm that really works for an EV network for the future. This is exactly the kind of work that the new Joint Office of Energy and Transportation that we've set up with Secretary Granholm is taking on. And now that we've put out the call for states to submit their plans, we're looking forward to seeing what they come back with by the August deadline and working very closely with them on how to make sure that no state, no community is left behind with the opportunity.
Absolutely, and I do have to say when I'm asked about high gas prices, which right now are extremely high, that I'm looking forward to a very short time in the future when you can drive right by the gas station with your electric vehicle and not worry about what it says at the pump. So I think that's an important part of our future. Let me ask another question about another really important piece of the bill that I've spent a lot of time on over a number of years, and that's Buy American and being able to really provide more integrity and transparency. Waivers in the past have been used over and over again to waive the requirements rather than really looking for the businesses that can actually provide the American-made goods and services. So there are several provisions of my Make It in America bill in this law, but I want to ask you specifically about two provisions that we've asked the Department of Transportation to focus on. And one is to ensure that domestic industries are ready to provide products for all modes of transportation. And then secondly, and I think this is very important, before the department issues a waiver to use federal funds to purchase iron or steel or manufactured products to meet Buy America standards, that you're required to reach out to the Manufacturing Extension Partnership and provide small and medium-sized manufacturers with the first opportunity to produce these hard-to-find items for our nation's infrastructure projects. In other words, I know in Michigan, and we saw this during the pandemic, when the call went out with what we needed, our companies were able to quickly retool to provide that. And if they know that there is a marketplace, I really believe that small and medium-sized manufacturers are going to be able to step up, which is more jobs, obviously, and more investment in America.
Thank you. Yes, we're committed to these provisions of the law, not only because it is called for in the law, but also, as you know, this administration and this president are enthusiastic about Buy America and having more manufacturing here in America. Among other things, part of the solution, the long-term solution to our supply chain issues is to be less reliant on things coming in from overseas. And so we will work to make sure that those U.S.-based companies have a heads up as part of that waiver process so that they might be able to respond. And we'll work to meet all of the parameters that are laid out and hopefully exceed them.
Terrific. I'm really looking forward to working with you on this. So
Thank you.
thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, Senator Stabenow. Thanks for your great leadership on the Ag Committee. There's a lot of interface, as you know, with the work that we do in this committee. Senator Stabenow's been kind to welcome me to the Detroit Auto Show for more years than I can remember. And that was about 10 years ago. I remember looking at one of they call them I forget which auto company, but they were they had on display a vehicle that was in a garage. This is like a mock-up using 2x4s. The vehicle's in a garage, and the garage was alongside of the house, all a mock-up, and in front of us. And I asked the people who from that company, I said, what does this represent? And they said, this is hydrogen. This is hydrogen. And they said that the vehicle here is going to be powered someday by hydrogen, hopefully what we call clean hydrogen. And they have no emissions, and they use fuel cells. And the same technology will heat this garage, this house, using your imagination, in the winter and cool it in the summer. And you know what? That day has come. And when we look at reducing emissions from large trucks, vans, and so forth, the key, some of them use electric. We'll use electric, are using electric, but a bunch of them are going to use hydrogen, as you know, and that's a good thing. Very
Mr.
good
Chairman, if I might just add, I'm a strong supporter of hydrogen fuel cells as well, and part of what we're doing in Michigan is working with the Army, who's right on the front lines right now driving these vehicles, and you're absolutely right. Particularly in Department of Defense, there's tremendous enthusiasm, as well as larger fleets. So this is a really important part of the equation.
Thanks so much. Speaking of the Department of Defense,